Hello, everyone, and welcome to AFC Under the Microscope COVID-19. I'm Shilpa Arora, Anti-Money Laundering Director at ACAMS. I have the pleasure and privilege of talking to industry leaders on how the fight against financial crime has had to adapt in light of COVID-19 restrictions. Today, I am with Markus Schulz. Markus has joined ING recently, overseeing global change management for financial crime prevention. Markus is also an advisory board member at ACAMS. Previously, Markus was global head of financial crime controls in Standard Chartered, and prior to that, chief compliance officer at GE Capital. Hello, Markus, and thank you for joining us today. Markus, you recently started your role in overseeing change management for financial crime. There must be plenty to do and fast. So how much of a change has this pandemic been to you? And does this mean change activities have had to take a bit of a backseat while there's more focus on BAU?
Well, thank you for the opportunity to speak to you. And it's actually a great opportunity to also address our fellow ACAMS members and, of course, everyone who is joining up in the fight against financial crime. The answer actually simply is no. Has it fundamentally changed the way we operate? Of course, because we're not in the office, we don't work together. Having said that, is it such a big difference for some of the virtual and global teams that we operate with every single day? Potentially not. The bank, of course, had to change, and all banks have to change their focus and their priorities to help our customers first. Does this mean that we maybe need to delay one or the other thing? Potentially. Does it change the overall program and the overall ambition? Absolutely not. Of course, we have to be realistic that maybe currently IT implementations need to maybe make way for certain changes for the IT infrastructure to deal with COVID-related products or COVID-related customer service activities. These activities, of course, have to take priority. But when you look into our world and look into our change program, what we want to achieve over the next 2 to 3 years, it hasn't changed in a bit. And of course, we may change the order here and there, but our ambition and also how we work together has not changed, other than way more calls and maybe way more virtual, but that's all about it, really.
Thank you. That's interesting. We've been told your motto is today is tomorrow's yesterday and keep evolving. These are very wise and apt words, especially in the circumstances we find ourselves in today. So in terms of operational resiliency and that evolution, what steps is ING taking to keep up the fight against financial crime?
I think that ING is similarly committed, like many other financial institutions in this space, to help us as an industry to do the right thing for our communities, for our customers, for our stakeholders. And of course, for the regulators as well, not to forget that. But the ambition that we have had is not only to remediate and just to go say we have a problem here, and let's make sure that we address those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 problems. We have taken a step back and looked at it and saying, what can we do with these efforts? And how can we help not only ING, but also work with the industries and partners? And what can we do to contribute? But of course, addressing all the things that we need to address for ING, and first and foremost for ING. We also have taken a stand that we want to do whatever we can within our means and our possibilities to also support the whole industry and the whole community, that we continue the great work that other banks have been doing. I was very privileged to have been working with the Standard Chartered and a fantastic team that we have had there, and still is there to a large extent, and where we have been able to do a tremendous number of great things for the industry and with the industry. And I want to continue that work. So the label that we have and work for one institution shouldn't change our ambition if we're really committed to fight financial crime as a whole.
Thank you. So we've seen some resourcing challenges because some of illness, quarantine, or different working practices, etc. Do you think certain business lines in the industry may close up as a result of that because minimum compliance can't be met?
Too early to tell. I think anything we would say now would be pure speculative, and I don't think it's fair to do that, and I don't think it's anybody's interest either. What is fair to say, and I see this every single day, I'm in lockdown here myself in Italy, and obviously we have seen this a little bit earlier than maybe the rest of Europe, and what is coming and the wave that has been sweeping from the south to the north. And we're now in lockdown. I'm working from home for 9 weeks now, and there's probably a few more weeks to come. What is clear, there will be a new norm and a new normal. Whatever that will be, we will find out. Will that mean that maybe some business models have to change? I don't talk about the bank per se. I think more generally, some business models will maybe not be vital anymore. Absolutely. And I see this here every single day by talking to people, to the extent, of course, you can talk to them, but also virtually to connect with them. A lot of people are very concerned that small, medium-sized enterprises may disappear, not from a bank's radar, but just generally will not be able to survive the lockdown. If the lockdown continues for longer, there will be a lot of restaurants, hotels, other service industries, small, medium-sized enterprises, especially here the talk in Italy is more about up to 500 employees that they will struggle most. Will this change the landscape? Of course. So what does this mean for us as a bank? The bank will, of course, then be also confronted. How can we support those kind of customers that can make it through this very difficult period best? Will it mean that maybe certain business lines will disappear? Yes, but it's not necessarily driven by the bank. I think it's more driven by the nature of the overall market developments that we will all experience one way or another. Which way? We shall find out. But I'm looking forward to tomorrow. It will not be like today, as you said earlier, and it will certainly be different than yesterday. And let's make the most out of it. Lots of change has happened all around us every single day. This one is very traumatic and very drastic, and we feel it all very radically. But you are not like you are today, like you have been 10 years ago. I am not. We are in a different space. If I would have asked you 2 years ago, would we have this interview today? Most likely the answer was no, you had very different things on your mind. So I think I don't want to plan too far ahead. Let's bring it on. We will make the most out of it. And I think the bank is equally prepared and equipped with it. Great team, great spirit. And I see this in all the various senior management calls. The energy within the organization is tremendous. And how people chip in to do jobs that they normally wouldn't do is remarkable.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. In terms of customer behaviors then, so we have seen changes in customer behaviors, and of course that affects transaction monitoring. So have you seen changes in transaction monitoring alerts? And if so, are you then able to implement rules or other measures quite quickly to make it more effective and efficient?
Well, you used there 2 words in one sentence that I think everyone who operates in this space will appreciate don't necessarily go easy together, and that is transaction monitoring, change, and quick. They usually don't go together, because we all know if you want to put something new scenarios, new thresholds, they will have a lead time of 6 weeks to 6 months, maybe in some instances even longer. So changing, and we talked about this actually quite extensively, changing now all our transaction monitoring program will be too hard to do. So what we do is now we'll keep it running as it is, and we will do some targeted analytical work on top of this and see where certain pockets of activities maybe have fundamentally changed to what it is before. Will we change thresholds over time? Maybe there's more electronic payment, less cash, and all of these things we will evaluate, but ad hoc now what we do to maybe see some of the underlying change in business, we will deploy additional analytics on top of what we normally do, just to look for certain activities and pockets. I wouldn't want to change the entire transaction monitoring system only after 9-10 weeks of COVID-19 situation now. I think there will be implications, but everyone knows that just go in and change thresholds with all the governance you have and all the oversights and testing. That's something you want to really balance well. And then there's also the question, is that something temporary, that change in behavior that we see? Maybe shift in patterns, shift in payments, or is that something ongoingly? We will find out. And so therefore, I think it's too early to change TM. We supplement it with additional analytics to see that we catch those activities that maybe, again, that's a lot of speculation, may be introduced in certain countries and certain businesses where the wrong people might take advantage of the COVID-19 situation.
Indeed. Thank you. That was very insightful. My final question for you is in terms of lessons learned. Now, most situations have lessons that we can learn from. So what do you think are going to be the lessons learned with respect to this crisis, particularly maybe the use of technology in fighting financial crime?
Well, there will be a lot of lessons learned for all of us in this space. There's absolutely no two ways about that. And there's no question. For financial crime, Will there be a big change for how we see this? Perhaps there's an opportunity to work more frequently and faster, better together as communities, leveraging platforms like this and others to help us to get together more quickly, more efficiently, faster. Will it change the way we think about technology in fighting financial crime? I'm not too sure yet, because there's a lot of developments that have started way before COVID. They're still continuing. We will look into new technologies that we have been doing in the past, we're doing today, and we're doing tomorrow. Has it changed really? Not too sure about it. Will it accelerate things? Perhaps. Yeah. Maybe we see less travel. Maybe we see more remote and virtual working. But at the same time, there are some people who say that people will want to see each other even more after the crisis, given that we have missed a lot of social contacts during that crisis. So we'll find out. I don't think that the technology strategy that we have designed and developed for ING, for example, will fundamentally change. We just yesterday had a steering committee on that and a bit of a think tank where we want to take it next. And I haven't seen anybody coming up saying, okay, let's change it fundamentally because of COVID-19. And because financial crime is financial crime, there will always be bad actors that try to take advantage of the situations. COVID-19 is now one situation. After that, there will be another situation. It's fast evolving, so we need to be on our toes, always try to deploy the best and latest technologies. And I don't think there will be any difference from that perspective. So where I'm standing right now is that COVID-19, lots of implications for our daily lives, but I would not want to see this now as a force to change everything we've been doing, because I think there's a good reason why we've been doing a lot of things before. There's a good reason why we need to do a lot of things now. And yes, maybe there's certain new patterns that we haven't thought about before that we need to respond to. But that's all the change and difference that I see at the moment.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Markus. A very practical and insightful discussion there with Markus Schulz from ING about financial crime prevention, both now and in the forthcoming future. Do join us to talk to industry leaders around the globe on financial crime prevention in the current circumstances. You can find us under #OnlineWithACAMS. Thank you very much.
Thank you.